Okay, so I just went ahead and changed the name to the quick setup to quick setup. How do you change the name here? You just hit select, you'll see it shaking here, and then you can just type in your name here. When you're done, you can just hit done, and the item is renamed then. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a new show. Okay, and this is going to be the custom setup. The first one was the quick setup, but we lost the control over the independent colors. This one is going to give us control over independent colors, but we are going to sacrifice the ability to have smooth transitions between colors to make custom sequences and such. So that is one of the bummers about that. So can we use this one? No, we cannot. We have to create an entire another device, and I'm going to call this one custom setup. Custom setup for LED. Okay, so that's what we're going to name it. Now, in this kind of situation, so that we can use MIDI notes and MIDI CC program controls, we're going to control the LEDs by making everything via custom. So we already know that channel 1 is going to be the dimmer, and we'll go ahead and put that on. We see channel 1 and it is the dimmer, and I'm going to go ahead and add a control called dimmer. It's going to be a slider, and it's on channel 1, as you can see that. So now we're going to add another custom, and we're going to call that red, because that would be 2. And we're going to make a custom button here, slider. We're going to call that red, and it'll be a slider you can see as channel 2. We're going to do another custom, and we're going to call it green. And as you can see, we're progressing down here. It automatically is going to assign the numbers, and then we'll pick this up once I have everything all set up here. Okay, so now what I've done, all of my controls I use is custom control. So the reason for the custom control, we will lose the fade effect on the sequence that we saw before. So we're giving that up, and in giving that up, what we are trying to do is gain control over each aspect of the LED light. So we're going to go ahead and save this, and now we have the custom LED. We have to put our dip switches in. We have to add these things before we can get them going. Starts on the 1, and I'll bet you know what the next one is. Starts on the 7, and then starts on the 13. Oh golly, what did I do here? 13, and then starts on the 19. Oops, wrong. Golly, I get this one wrong all the time. There we go. Oh, and I forgot, it's called My Custom LED. So we're just going to make this, name this Right House. Right House. We're going to name this one Left House. Oh, it was band. Excuse me. My bad. So we have those set up. Now we can go into our show and start identifying. So if I want independent control over each light, oops, my bad. Then I'm going to go ahead and we have right band, and we're done with that. I'm going to add a group, and this will be left band. Done with that. So now what we have here is we have the different devices with the different controls. But if you go into each one of these groups, you're going to notice that the lights are not going to work using this because we didn't use the quick setup. Rather, you're going to have to come down here to custom controls, and this is where you're going to see each of the custom controls that I set up. What is the advantage of that? Now I have complete MIDI control over all the colors. If I want purple, I just combine red and blue, that makes purple. If I want yellow, green and red will make yellow. And you have independent control over each function of these. That would be something that you can acquire through using the let me take this, put it back on this, using a MIDI controller. So that's kind of cool. So how this starts coming out is you're not necessarily going to see this while you're sitting and playing with it, while the lights are just sitting here. You can if you want. So let me just go ahead and do this. Okay, so let's look at how this plays out. You can see that the right band is here. I have control over the red. I have control over the green. I have control over the blue. I have control over the strobing of it. And I also have control over the mode, how that independent one operates. Which type of a mode is this thing going to go in. So the mode and the dimmer and the strobe were the only things you had when we had the quick setup. So if you go to another one like group 2, we cannot control anything. This will not yield any sort of control over your light. We have now made everything custom, so we're just going to bring that out. And as you can see, we can control the green, the red. If you want to make it purple, you just go red and blue. There's your purple. If you want to make it yellow, just go green and red. We can make a little dimmer so you can see it. Anyhow, so that's how that works. So now we're going to look at, okay, then what's the advantage? Well, the advantage is this. I can do a thing where I come over here and I can add a fader. Okay, and I go to group 1. And I'm going to just go ahead and say I want to put a dimmer. I like to add dimmer and the color. Okay, so that's dimmer and red for that one particular light. Okay, so I can change that. And then let's say I want control. So this would be red, dimmer and red. And you can change the name of it. You can come up here and instead of calling it dimmer, you can call it red. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll call this red. Band. It's going to face towards the band. And then you're going to see, let's just take, this is going to take a minute. So let me go ahead and set this up first. Okay, so here's the advantage of the custom. One of the things to take note of with the custom setup is whenever you're creating the control, one of the things you want to make sure of is see this icon that indicates that you have assigned the control. So when you're setting up a custom control, for example, we go in here, you will notice that if the dimmer has a control like this with the faders, then you probably have the right dimmer. One of the mistakes that you might make is if you assign, for example, this dimmer instead of your custom dimmer, then you're going to see that icon, and it'll look something like this. If you see the sunlight icon and you're doing this custom setup, you're in trouble. Your light will not work properly. So I would slide this to the left, get rid of that, and make sure it's your custom control, which will have that type of a setting. It's one of the biggest frustrations where someone might set everything up, and when they added a function to it, they actually picked the stock one, which is not going to do any good. You have to pick whatever you programmed in there. Okay, so let's go ahead and have a look at what the advantage of this is now. Each one of these has a MIDI control that can be assigned to it. You can see down here a MIDI input mapping, and so you can actually assign MIDI control to red, green, and blue, which is cool because here's what's going to happen. I can have control over a light. I can make it red, green, or blue via MIDI, or I can do the left one, red, green, or blue. And then I could also control this, red, green, or blue, and so on and so forth. So I have complete control over each and every color. What I have here is I've done an all, and so instead of having to create a group that would contain all, sometimes there are errors with that and some trouble controlling it. So what I do is I just, it's a fairly cumbersome programming task, but it's actually worth it. And that's where you can assign several functions to one fader. So I just took all the reds and assigned them to the LEDs, all green and all blue. So now if I want everything red, if I want everything green, if I want everything blue, or if I want blue and red, that would be everything purple. If I have green and red, then that would be a yellow hue to it. So what this does then is it gives me the ability to either control all of them, or I can control each one independently. Now the cool thing about it is you can set up some presets, like let's say I have everything set up like this. Okay, so maybe I want that light to be this color, that light to be, let's say we'll make it green. Oops, excuse me. It's green. And we'll make this one red. Let me just get all these out of the way here. Let's say we have another, no, we don't want that red. Let's go blue over here. We want green. No, we don't want green there. We'll do red over here. Something like that. What's kind of cool is then what we can do is we can bump over here real quick. We can make that a preset. Okay, so we're going to call that preset 1. We're good. And then I can come back over here and maybe make this one green. Say this one blue, this one blue, this one say red. I come back over here, I can create myself a preset, and we have another preset. So then you can take these and you can stick them inside of your show. We're going to go ahead and add, we'll put a button in there, we'll stick a preset in there. Preset 1, there we go, and we're going to add another button here, and preset 2. So then these are going to be some things that you're going to have presets here. You can make them just small buttons and such. And so what the advantage of that is, now you can assign a MIDI note to that. Excuse me here. A MIDI note to those. So you can just have them turn on and off. So the cool thing about it is when it is showtime and you have this like this, okay, and you're going to be pressing on your different MIDI presets here. So you're going to be able to bring in during showtime here, you're going to have this where you can bring in each of the lights independently or all of them, something like that, via MIDI. This is all could all be controlled via MIDI. Or if you just want quick presets, then you can have it go to this preset. Again, what I would do is I would go ahead and put this on immediate. So let's go ahead and change that right now. I'm going to go edit here. I don't like the toggle for when, if you're going to be using MIDI, you're going to want to stay away from toggle. So let's go over here and we'll do flash. That's always the best for MIDI note programming. Now let's go back into live mode here. So then I can have these kind of flash on like this. So that would be that kind of a setup, and then that kind of a setup. You can see the different lights are flashing different colors like I had them in a preset. And then I can also have, you know, where they fade in. This is all that can be controlled via MIDI. So then what would be the disadvantage of this? Well, here's where our disadvantage lies. The disadvantage lies in when you're making a sequence. If I'm going to make a sequence even if you try to use this preset last changes, you are not going to be able to accomplish transitions between these. You're going to notice that, see how these go like this, and then let's say you you're going to spend a lot of frustrating time trying to program in these transitions, but when you set up the custom situation, what you're going to notice is that there will not be the smooth transitions. They will just be the sudden light changes. You can try to mess with the transitions, you can try to make them fade, this and that. They will never fade. Okay, so but a cool way around that is you do have this mode situation. So when you're in custom, and what you can do is you can create a fader, and let's say it's group 1. Let's just add them all. I'm just going to take all these and I'm going to put mode here, and we'll go group 2. We'll go mode here. Let's see, mode. Group 3 mode. Group 4 mode. We're going to add these all. And these can be controlled via MIDI because remember, we're running custom. So this is kind of a workaround if you want to get out of the transitional effects. Hopefully I created a fader on this. So we have a mode here. Let's say we put it over here with our effects. We have these 2 effects down here. We've got a mode here. So now it's showtime. Okay, and let's go ahead and... so what this will do is it will actually allow the lights to have some of their own internal pre-program. So this would be like if you have an emotional time and you want it to go slowly, or if you want something more of a quicker transition, something like this where the lights will go all together. I just put them all on the same. You can separate the sequences and have the lights have a different sequential mode per light. So there are a lot of options there. What's the advantage of this? The advantage is that we can control all of this via MIDI. So that's what the nice thing is. If we go into edit, we can see that all of this is controllable via MIDI. Okay, so you can assign a MIDI note to it. Excuse me, there we go. MIDI input mapping. That is something that you will not have with the easy mode. With the easy mode, all you're going to have is the MIDI mapping for dimmer, strobe, and the custom mode that we set up for these lights. So that is the complete setup of a light show. I'm just focused on the LEDs because those are usually the most challenging, and has a difference in the different kinds of light modes. And then we can just rename this. This was quick setup, and then we can just call this custom setup. So this is basically what we see in the two. So with the quick setup, oh, I'm done here. With the quick setup, yeah, it's cool. We can do some sequences and they can transition. We can do some presets. We can have control over that here. We have a sequence. We can run the sequence, or we can do the different presets. And the other thing is we can select a mode here that we had, but there's no way that we can control the red, green, and blue via MIDI, because if we try to add a control, a fader of any kind, there's not going to be that option there. That's why we use the custom if we're planning on triggering things via MIDI and we want a lot of control. And so that's why if you're out of this and we go into shows and we head over here and then we go into our control surface, you can see that as far as MIDI is concerned, we got a lot of options. We can change colors, we can change the mode, make it do all kinds of things, or we can still do the presets, but the sequences will never transition smoothly using the fade function. Okay, so hopefully this gives you an idea. The next video we're going to be talking about how to program a light show using MIDI automation with backing tracks.